Origin Chess, and this is the IRS helps criminals for money. Seems all right, isn't it? IRS helps a lot of people as far as it helps IRS. I don't know how that. First of all, one thing I realized through America is that like all agencies work for themselves. It's like very weird thing, isn't it? But the more you learn, the more you realize that okay, government is not some perfect ecosystem that just works for itself. There's no one government. There's like multiple bodies of things that does their own thing. Obviously, they have like directive what they're supposed to do, but they just do their own thing, especially military, right? When a government and all the bodies of military somehow works together, that's like a strong, powerful, country, let's just say. Most people don't realize that. Most people are like, oh, government, it's stable. Government, military works for government, it's stable. Not really how it works all the time. I mean, most countries, if it's not stable enough, military sometimes overpower things, and that's how you get coup and martial law and things like that, right? So IRS basically, I can see IRS doing IRS things, right? As far as it helps them, they can look other way if it helps them or something. I don't know. I can see that, not officially, but I can see that. So I don't know. This is going to be interesting. Now, corruption in India is like a really big thing, right? In India, I don't know how things work. Like, I don't know, most people know how things work. But I don't know how much corruption there is in USA. I've heard of like IRS cracking down on people late than they should have because they realized late was more profitable or like more revenue could come in or something. Which is like, all right. So this could be one of those instances or something. I don't know. It's going to be, this is Fat Files, basically secondary channel for Federation, but somehow more interesting nowadays. Not more interesting. Obviously the recent video of Federation posting his main channel about the military stories are really OP. But this is more like outside of military things, like usually government and I don't know, so like it's a supermarket or Joe Biden releasing bears, or things that basically infuriates me. This is going to be one of those instances, I guess. So yeah. Yeah, I've been like not posting that much video recently because life been busy. But yeah, whenever Fat Nutrition post videos, I have to make a video. So there you go. That's it.
Nothing in this video is tax advice. It's mostly just me getting upset. This video is brought to you by Steelhead Outdoors. They're the ones that make my gun safe. They make all their stuff right here in America, Minnesota to be exact. To the best of my knowledge, they're the only ones making modular gun safes. This safe comes apart into a top, a bottom, a door, and 3 sides. Obviously, it can only be taken apart from the inside, but this means that you and one buddy can take apart your safe and move it if you ever need to. You don't need to hire a special company with fancy equipment, and it's way safer for everybody. They also make the best lock boxes on the market. Most lock boxes are made out of very thin metal, borderline tinfoil.
Okay, one thing I've realized that you Americans are really good because basically there are always somebody like, what if we do this and make it into a thing, a product? Obviously cool shit like this. I would love to have safe like this. I don't think I can buy that in India. I mean, obviously I can buy a safe, but it's like go through big company, like spend a lot of money. There's not going to be small business or group of people like startup or something who start to do that.
And this thing is made out of 12 gauge steel, which is the same steel that most gun safes are made out of. This thing weighs 9 pounds. So if you want to check them out, I'll have them linked down below. Let's get back to the video. Okay, all I wanted to know was why is it that every year when I have to go do my taxes, why doesn't the IRS just send me a bill for how much money they think I owe them? Okay, if you're not an American or you're too young to do your taxes, or you do your taxes and you just don't really pay attention to what's going on, I'll explain. When World War II was kicking off, the American government needed more money, so they went to every employer in the country and said, hey, you have to tell us how much money you pay all of your employees. So now the IRS knows how much every single person in America makes every year. Because of that, the IRS now knows how much money every single person owes them at the end of the year. Okay, so now that we're on the same page that the IRS knows how much money each person owes them, why doesn't the IRS just send you a bill every year? Because in America, they don't send you a bill. You have to go to a tax professional or you have to use some software. Basically, you have to pay like upwards of $200 to have somebody or some program do your taxes, which is a fancy way of saying that program or that person.
$200, that's like what, 16,000 rupees, right? That's cheaper than what I pay. Yeah, obviously I have a guy. Okay, look, I have a business. I'm a civil contractor, like I said. Too many things and logistics to worry about. So obviously I pay a guy. I can't deal with that nightmare. I have to worry about like sales tax and things like that, service tax and things like that, not just income tax in the end. But yeah, that is so true, right? This applies to everywhere, I think, especially in India as well. I mean, first of all, I get that like business like me, not knowing like every aspect of what I do, obviously I have to put together and like file it, sure. But people who have jobs, right? Monthly income, it's just one income every month. It's not that hard. Income tax, income. At least they should have like, okay, this is your bill. Why do they need to go through a complicated process? The problem here is, I think, that business is out by revenue. Business is much outnumbered than anybody else. Will basically people who get monthly income, right? Business will outnumber that. So they're like, okay, most people gonna file IRS is gonna have like a lot of money, would be businesses, and there are like a lot of elements to that, right? A lot of logistics to that. So they are gonna hire people, but so might as well, like people who have like monthly incomes either hire somebody or do them themselves or something. I guess lazy cop out, but they should at least have that, like somebody who's like every month they have the income. They like IRS, like, okay, this is your 12 month, this is your income, this is your income tax. There you go, something like that.
Has to figure out how much money you owe the IRS, even though the IRS already fucking knows that. Okay, do you understand the gravity of what I've just told you? Because whether you realize it or not, this is a conversation that every American has with the IRS every single year. Hey, it's tax season, pay me. All right, how much do I owe you? That's the fun part. How much do you owe me? Like, you don't know how much money I owe you? Oh no, I know exactly how much money you owe me to the cent. Okay, so then why don't you tell me and I'll just pay you? Because fuck you, that's why. Okay, well, if you're not gonna tell me how much money I owe you, I'm just not gonna pay you. Oh, well, that's not really an option, because if you don't pay me, I'm gonna throw your ass in prison. Oh, well, don't want that. Okay, what if I overpay you? Well, then I'm gonna keep all the extra money and not really tell you about it. Okay, and what if I underpay you? Well, that depends. If you underpay me a little bit, I'll just financially penalize you. If you underpay me a lot, I'll also throw your ass in prison. Okay, I guess. Yeah, I know, I can hear the...
Hold on, is that real? If you overpay them, isn't that like that's a balance thing? Like next time you pay them, you're probably gonna have to pay less, or they probably pay you back. Because we have here what's called TDS, right? It's basically like in advance you pay a certain amount of money towards your income tax, right? So, if you like pay a lot through TDS, more than you're supposed to pay, you get payment back, right, in the end of the year, right? That's how it works in India. I don't know how it works in USA. I'm pretty sure there must be something like that, right? There are a lot of times where TDS basically goes over what I'm supposed to pay as an income tax. So I get payment back. I don't know.
Keyboard warriors already. Buh! You're so stupid. The reason the IRS does that is because the IRS doesn't know if you're going to claim any deductions or not. Buh! Okay, that's a bullshit-ass excuse. If you know nothing about taxes, you can do your taxes one of two ways. There's the standard deduction, or you can do an itemized return. The standard deduction is just the normal amount that the IRS assumes every single person in America has that's not taxable income. In 2023, it's $13,850. The IRS just assumes you have that much in write-offs. But if you have significantly more than that in tax write-offs, you can then do an itemized return, and in that case you have to write down every single tax deduction that you have and turn that into the IRS, and then you can get a higher deduction on your taxes. Okay, here's the kicker with that. 87% of Americans do the standard deduction. That means the IRS could literally send every American a bill at the end of the year, and it could say, hey, here's how much money you owe us in taxes, assuming that you're getting the standard deduction, which again is 87% of people. And you can just have a little check mark box that says, yes, I agree to this, and you can mail them a check, or they can have a little fill in the blank where you give them your bank account information and then they just send you your tax return. Or you could hit, no, I don't agree with this because I have more write-offs, aka 13% of the population, and then those 13% of people can go and have a tax professional prepare your itemized return, and then you could do your taxes that way. Literally for 87...
Yeah, I think, this online thing wasn't there when these rules, like how you pay taxes, came with the paper and like going to the office and shit. At that time, it would become a hassle. But nowadays, with the, computerized world, like, Federation is right? You can do this. At least there should be a period of time, like, okay, through, I don't know, like March to April or whatever, you're gonna get like automated tax. If you have problem from I don't know, April to May or something, you can then like claim something else or something, like have your professional do something. 2 different window periods. Why the fuck not? This, see, easy is not what IRS want to do, right? I mean, I don't know. One thing I realized when major governments like this, like US and now India as well, right? Other governments as well, which is major, don't wanna change anything because they might create a hassle, logistical nightmare. I mean, they can do it, but they don't want to put any efforts to it. That's the thing.
Percent of the country, tax season can be over and done with just as fast as you pay a power bill. But no, instead you have to get all your paperwork together, you have to go schedule an appointment with a tax professional, turn it into an all-day event to go get your taxes done, or you have to spend hours upon hours desperately trying to figure out how to do it yourself with some online program, and it's a giant waste of absolutely everybody's
Don't do that.
time.
Don't do yourself.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, that makes sense. Why on earth doesn't the IRS just do that? And obviously, it's because they make more money doing it this way. Okay, everybody's talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and how scary it is. I'm convinced that AI has been around forever, and the first AI ever invented was bureaucracy. Okay?
Yeah, so, IRS basically gonna stupid people tax basically. Like, we have lots of people are not gonna understand the logistics and things, and they're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna get more money. Which is not about stupid people. It's like, okay, people have complex lives and they might not be able to think all this, right? Not everybody is like great at statistics. So, but yeah, if AI becomes a thing, right? IRS might have AI in the future, when AI becomes really good. And AI might not make these mistakes. AI might do things for you, the way Fact say it right now. So if anything, AI might make our life better in many ways, right? We are fearing AI a lot. But if anything, like there's a high chance 80% of our life might get better because of AI. Yeah, I don't know. I can see AI doing taxes and things and not making mistakes.
The minute you get more than like 10 people in a group and you give them one goal and tell them that's their only job and that none of them are individually responsible for their actions, everything's going to go completely off the rails, okay? The IRS lets this happen because guess what? The tax filing industry in the United States is $11 billion a year. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that a little bit slower. Americans pay $11 billion a year to seek help from professionals to find out some shit the government already fucking knows. But because the IRS only cares about making more money, the only thing the IRS comprehends is that's $11 billion more dollars that they get to tax, so it's in their benefit to keep it this way. It is the most insane and corrupt shit on the planet.
There's a tax for it.
It'd be fair to the other 13% if they were the only ones that had a difficult tax season. But get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Okay, just so we're on the same page, if this went into effect tomorrow, I would be in that 13% that was still doing an itemized deduction. I can still appreciate the government trying to make life and tax season easier for 87% of people. I don't give a fuck if it's fair to me. Okay, because anybody in that 13% that's doing an itemized deduction, including me, knows how to game the system so they can make even more money. Don't fucking worry about them. Okay, I mean, for example, look at my couch, okay? Everybody jokes it's a casting couch. That's not a casting couch. That's my tax write-off couch. If you watch my videos, sometimes there's just random shit sitting on that couch. It's not because I wanted random shit to be on my couch in that particular video. It's because whatever's on that couch becomes part of the scene of my video. Hence, it's a tax write-off because I make money from making YouTube videos, okay? So I get to write that shit off.
You write it off.
Who writes it off?
I don't know. The write-off people.
My point being, everybody in that 13% knows how to play the game. Don't feel bad for them. Everybody's worried about artificial intelligence taking over, but it already has, because the first artificial intelligence was bureaucracy, and it's already taken over the entire world, and it's corrupt as fuck. I mean, think about it. Bureaucracy is a name.
Man, it's not artificial intelligence. It's actual intelligence. Artificial intelligence, we are trying to make it similar to our intelligence, and then we're going to think about if it can be better than that. Obviously, that computers and power is stronger, but computers and power doesn't mean smarter, right? So, bureaucracy is not artificial intelligence, it's humans, much more malicious.
Soulless entity that is given a single task at its inception and then does whatever it can to accomplish that task. That is borderline the definition of AI. And if you wanted proof that the IRS is absolutely corrupt and only cares about collecting as much money as possible, all we have to do is read their own handbook. Okay, watch this. Let's pull up publication 525 for the year of 2023, taxable and non-taxable income. Okay, this is basically just what you can claim as deductions, what you can't, how you go about doing it in every different type of situation that you could possibly come up with over the course of like 50 pages. Okay, now if I could bring your attention over to page 37, under the article that says stolen property. Quote, if you steal property, you must report its FMV, fair market value, in your income in the year that you steal it, unless in the same year you return it to its rightful owner.
Okay, that is bullshit. I don't think something like that exists in India. This is some unique shit. You can talk about illegal things in your legal tax things like it's normal, which means one body of your government say it's okay if you steal things, we're gonna tax it. How is that not a dilemma? How is somebody not go to like, I don't know, court, Supreme Court or whatever? Yeah, I stole that thing, but I paid tax for it. So government is the last people that should be like persecuting me or something, right? And government, Supreme Court, they're all like one body by constitution or something. So you can't really like, put me in prison or something. Somebody can really argue. I'm not gonna say it's gonna work, but there might be ethical thing behind it. How can you say like stolen property, there's a tax for it? I always hear that oversimplified, oh, there's a tax for it stamp.
Yeah, translation, they don't care if you steal shit for a living. As long as they get their cut, they don't care. This isn't a just and right entity. This is literally a mafia boss.
Business bad? Fuck you, pay me. Oh, you had a fire? Fuck you, pay me.
Oh, don't worry, it keeps going. Page number...
Yeah, mafia boss my ass. But mafia boss gets scared of IRS. Look at Al Capone. One of the most famous criminal boss and just like gone. That's IRS.
32, under bribes. Quote, if you receive a bribe included in your income. And I know what you're thinking. What if there's illegal activity, but it's not necessarily stealing and it's not necessarily a bribe? Oh, well, they put a catch-all on page 35. Oh, there it is, right between reporting taxable payments and Indian fishing rights. Illegal activities, and I quote, income from illegal activities, such as from dealing illegal drugs, must be included in your income on a Schedule 1 Form 1040 Line 8Z or on a Schedule C Form 1040 if from self-employment activity. And I know what you're thinking because you're a sane, rational person, and I thought the same exact thing. Clearly, this is just a clever ploy to try to catch criminals, right?
Yes, and if I don't pay up, I'll go to jail for tax evasion. I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
Wrong. I've octuple checked. The IRS has no legal obligation to report illegal activities to...
Look, you can't put official documents like that if you're trying to like, I don't know, fish people, like catfish, whatever, in this way, illegal way, right? If you're trying to like pull people, you can't put that. When you make it official, it's official, regardless of what you're trying to do. Even drugs, this is insanity, man. What if I don't take bribe or steal things? What if I like money? What if I'm like hire for? What if I'm an assassin? I want to pay tax too. I want to contribute. You can do that too. There you go. IRS is there to help.
Any type of authority other than itself. And remember, because the IRS is basically an artificial intelligence whose sole purpose is to collect as much money as possible, it doesn't benefit from reporting criminals as long as those criminals are willing to pay taxes. Okay, and I can prove this on a large scale because marijuana, cannabis, in the United States is illegal on a federal level. I understand that it's legal or decriminalized in some states, but it's still illegal federally, meaning that the DEA, a federal law enforcement agency, could roll into your fully state legal cannabis dispensary and arrest all of you. Okay, and this has already been settled by the Supreme Court in Gonzalez versus Reich in 2005 when the DEA did just that in California. So knowing that growing and distributing cannabis is illegal...
What the fuck, man? What is with you? Okay, I understand federal, state, different thing. I've known that a lot. But at this level, you legalize something. Your state is like, yeah, your cops basically stand outside your like, cannabis shop or something. FBI can roll in just like grab you, DEA in this case. Basically can grab you and like throw you into federal. You literally act as two different bodies. Federal is different, state is different. That is like dangerous, isn't it? Like you act as two different countries and entities. There's a friction. I don't understand that. How is like federal and local not basically like, understanding each other? Is Supreme Court falls under federal? Is state court falls under state? Can state say, I'm going to ignore Supreme Court's ruling? How are they supreme if that's the case? I don't get it. And if the state court basically said, okay, cannabis is legal, wouldn't Supreme Court have some say in it? Like, fine, okay, you want to do this, we recognize that. Wouldn't that automatically make like federals can't do anything in that state? I don't understand all this.
Legal, the IRS has decided that they're going to report all of it to the federal government. No, I'm just kidding. They decided they were going to come up with their own special document. It's called a 280E, and it basically says, hey, what you're doing is illegal on a federal level. We know it's illegal, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to charge you double the taxes, and you're not going to be allowed to take any tax write-offs. And by the time it's all said and done, the entire cannabis industry pays about 3.5 times the taxes of any other industry, all because the IRS knows that they can get away with it because they know that that shit's illegal on a federal level because the IRS IRS just wants to make more money. I cannot tell you over the course of my life how many times I've heard somebody express the general sentiment along the lines of, man, I wish they taught me useful stuff in high school, like how to do my taxes or balance a checkbook, but instead I know the Pythagorean theorem. And I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I'm convinced that they don't teach this in school, because if they did, people would know about it, and if people knew about this, nobody would put up with this bullshit. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to beer. I'm losing my mind. I guess in conclusion, everybody's worried about artificial intelligence taking over the world, and in their head, they're picturing something like the movie Terminator with Skynet and robots trying to kill everybody. But in reality, AI has already taken over the world. It's called bureaucracy, and it's not trying to kill everybody. It's just trying to milk society dry of its time and its money so that it can just preserve itself, even though it no longer even needs to exist. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. I'm gonna pay taxes on every shirt you buy. Quack bang out. I live in a complete clown world. Even the king's goons and Robin Hood tell you how much money you owe.
Yeah, right. Okay, seriously, man. You know, the whole thing is insane. I'm not gonna lie. It's just this is just 10-minute video, but it's like two elements: IRS and the federal state friction, just like making me crazy right now. This is insanity, man. Okay, cannabis things is just like, okay, we're just gonna tax you. That's why we're doing all these things. I don't know, man. This is why people say like, oh, capitalism is just too much. This is one of the main examples, right? When you let go of like your moral, legal reason just for some income tax, or just like some income like this. When your like first goal is to make profit, everything else comes aside. That's when people start to scream like, oh, capitalism is too much. Too much capitalism is problem. This is basically the reason, right? And I don't know, Congress is there to basically find these problems and do something about it, but they're not, right? And you would say like, oh, Congress are just a bunch of a-holes, but you elect them, right? Keep changing them unless somebody good comes there. Make them know like, okay, if you're gonna be a-hole, we're gonna know, if we're not gonna vote for you. But the problem is most people are not educated on things like this, and they're gonna vote the people that are already there. In Congress, most people never get outvoted. Like 15, 20 years, people are still there, right? You know, there are very old, you know, like senators and things already in Congress, which is like insane. Nobody votes them out. We're just gonna vote for them. There you go. IRS helps criminal for money. Yeah, this is insane. I never thought of it's going to be at this level. I never thought it was going to be like, oh, if you're a criminal, pay your taxes, right? Oh, by the way, you know, cannabis is legal, but yeah, everything is illegal, so you're going to pay. Yes, that's extortion. That is pure extortion. I'm surprised nobody goes to Supreme Court with this. Like the federal level, they are extorting us, right? You know, I'm surprised state and federal are frictioning like, we made it legal, why are you intervening now, right? Federal is, all the state makes up federal government, right? So there has to be some kind of like connection there. It can be like, oh, federal is completely different, state is completely different. That can't be the thing. Come on. Right, well, that was the IRS helps criminals for money by the channel The Fat Files. If you like my reason, do subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.